Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are taking a stack of source material and applying a frame you might not expect to, well, the most important thing in your life, yourself.
Right.
We are diving into Chapter 10 of Lou Gaddy's book, The Marketing of You, which lays out this really bold, sometimes uncomfortable blueprint for character development, and it does it using the structure of the business world.
It definitely doesn't pull any punches. The author begins by just shattering a common cultural myth.
Which is?
He essentially says, you are not inherently special. You are, from a biological standpoint, indistinguishable from 7 billion other people. You're a collection of cells.
Wow. Okay, that is a serious gut punch right out of the gate.
It is.
But it sets up the mission statement immediately, doesn't it? If you want success, fulfillment, opportunity, if you want to stand out, you can't just rely on some innate uniqueness.
Exactly. You have to build it.
So the paradigm shift here is profound.
It really is. We usually think of marketing as, for a new phone or a brand of coffee. But Gaddy argues that just as marketing takes a simple product and gives it life and appeal, you have to actively market yourself so the world, quote, wants you.
Okay, so just to be clear, the goal here isn't to create some shallow transactional version of yourself or pretend to be someone you're not.
No, it's much deeper than that.
It has to be.
The mission is to develop your character, that's the core product, to such a high standard that it naturally creates this robust, long-term want for you, from family, from friends, employers, partners, you name it. Your character development becomes your unique selling proposition.
So what does this all mean for you listening? How do we build this desired product? The source material argues the answer is simple in concept, but monumentally difficult in execution.
Focused, relentless character development.
That leads us right to the question of timing, which the author treats as an absolute emergency. Gaddy outlines over 20 foundational character traits and soft skills, but he stresses that the work has to start now. Why is the timing so critical?
It's rooted in how we develop as human beings. Gaddy uses this structural framework cited from Ray Dalio's work, which maps out our lives in 3 30-year blocks.
The classic developmental timeline. Okay, let's walk through those.
Sure. So ages 0 to 30 is your developmental phase. You're fundamentally dependent on others, your parents, your mentors, your teachers, to download those core operating systems.
And then the switch flips.
Exactly. Ages 30 to 60 is the dependency phase, but the roles are reversed. Now, others are dependent on you, your kids, your mentees, your employees. You're the one carrying the load.
Yeah, and after 60.
That's the legacy phase. That's when you look back and assess what you built.
I can see the structure, but let's press on that pressure point. 30 seems a bit arbitrary. Why are the sources so adamant that certain traits become harder to acquire later?
They're very specific. Research cited in the book shows that foundational traits and skills, things like discipline, integrity, trustworthiness, creativity, even financial literacy and critical thinking, they become much more difficult to learn once you hit 30. Maybe even earlier.
I find that a little challenging, I have to say. I mean, I know the data supports the difficulty of changing neurological pathways, but isn't that a bit defeatist for anyone listening who's, say, 45?
It's not meant to be defeatist. It's meant to be urgent, especially for younger listeners. The author is stressing the inefficiency of delay.
Okay.
If you've spent 30 years reinforcing a habit of, immediate gratification, trying to learn long-term financial discipline at 45 is just exponentially harder than if you'd started at 18.
Yeah.
You can still change, absolutely, but the cost in effort and time just goes way up.
That reframes it perfectly. It's about optimizing the learning window. So the actionable advice here is blunt. Put down your phone, acknowledge the urgency, and work on those core traits now.
Right. Because if you wait until you need courage to speak up at work or you need integrity to handle a huge account, you might find those muscles just aren't there. That, the book warns, is how you fail.
All right, if time is running out to build the product, we have to talk about the distribution strategy. Let's move on to that classic framework. The 5 Ps of marketing. Gaddy argues these apply perfectly to selling yourself to the world.
They're the core building blocks: product, price, people, promotion, and placement. And the source material is fantastic because it attaches specific character traits and soft skills to each one. It makes them tangible goals.
Let's start with the most basic one. Number 1, product, which is you.
Right. This year's model. This P focuses on internal strength. The core traits listed are courage, resilience, competence, and confidence.
Okay, the internal stuff.
And the supporting skills that make those traits visible are things like emotional intelligence, leadership capability, and strong critical thinking. You need the guts and the skill set to execute.
Got it. Moving on to number 2, price or value. The book calls this a crass reality, but it's how you show you're worth investing in.
The book is really clear on this. Your character is your value proposition. The price is the assurance that the world is getting a reliable, valuable asset when they invest in you.
But how do you quantify something like character?
You quantify it through the traits listed under this P, like integrity, competence, and trustworthiness. These traits create what you might call reputational compounding.
Reputational compounding, I like that.
Yeah. Lacking integrity, for instance, costs you. You lose access to opportunities because people just won't risk their resources on you. But possessing high integrity, it pays long-term dividends, it attracts better deals, better people. It's a hidden asset.
That's a great distinction. It turns integrity from just a moral quality into an active value-generating asset.
Precisely.
Next up is number 3, people, or as the book calls it, your board of directors.
This is maybe the most crucial P for development. This network isn't just contacts on LinkedIn. These are the people, parents, mentors, who model the behaviors you want and who you just couldn't stand to let down.
They're your accountability partners.
Exactly. And the source notes these people help you and ask nothing immediate in return. They're the objective judges of your product. This is where collaboration is emphasized, and the explicit need for mentors is listed.
Then we have number 4, promotion, visibility. You can build this amazing character, but if nobody knows about it...
You're missing half the picture. Promotion is how you manage your narrative. Obvious skills here are communication and decision-making. But the fascinating inclusion is social media management.
So the book connects your character directly to your public image.
It demands it. But that raises a good question.
Yeah, if we're focused on social media management, how do we make sure the image we're projecting isn't just shallow? The opposite of the integrity the book demands. That tension feels really real.
That tension is the deep dive. The author isn't promoting pretense. He's acknowledging that in today's world, your online presence is often the first pitch deck you get.
The first and sometimes the only.
Right. If your digital footprint screams chaos or immaturity, no one will ever get to see your competence in person. The promotion has to reflect the actual product.
Fair point. And finally, number 5, placement, opportunity. How do you get yourself in the right place at the right time?
Placement is about preparedness and positioning. It requires internal traits like discipline and trustworthiness, alongside crucial external skills like negotiating skills and emotional intelligence. It's not just luck. It's putting yourself where opportunity can find you.
And interestingly, social media management is listed here again.
It reinforces that dual nature. Promotion is visibility, placement is access. A strong, professional digital presence not only broadcasts your value, it also ensures you get found for high-value opportunities.
That structure gives us the foundation. Now let's jump into the tactical tools. The first step the author recommends is a rigorous internal assessment using a classic marketing tool, the SWOT analysis.
Yes. Applying strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats to your personal character. It's the critical starting point. You can't improve the product if you don't know its current condition.
So for an individual, strengths are inherent qualities. Maybe you're naturally curious or resilient. Weaknesses are the traits you need to actively work on, like financial literacy or punctuality.
Then you look externally. Opportunities are the resources available to you who you know, access to training. And threats are what could trip you up. A toxic environment, negative influences, or even competitors.
The action item for you listening is clear. Perform this analysis using those traits, and then focus intensely on 2 or 3 weaknesses. But honestly, how easy is it to perform an honest assessment of your own weaknesses? We all tend to self-flatter.
That's the whole rub. This is exactly why the author included the People P, your board of directors. You do the SWOT, and then you take your list of weaknesses to your most trusted mentors, parents, or teachers and ask them to vet it.
So you use your network to overcome your own bias.
Exactly. It makes the tool actionable and accountable. The author even includes his own teenage SWOT in an appendix, which shows the vulnerability you need for this.
Okay, moving from internal assessment to external presentation. The source quotes Mark Twain. Naked people have little or no influence in society.
Don't get dressed in the dark.
Clothes are shorthand, right? They signify intent, professionalism, respect for the setting.
They're a rapid, nonverbal communication tool. And that story Getty shares about his friend who had to fire a rude employee is a perfect, painful example. She realized later she should have seen the entitlement coming because the young man wore a backwards ball cap to the interview.
It's a small detail, but it speaks volumes about the product.
It does. Everything is marketing. Your clothes, your posture, your handshake. And speaking of public presentation, we have to talk about the digital side.
The digital footprint. It's permanent.
It is. The warning is crucial. The internet does not forget. Countless careers have been torpedoed by posts made years ago. You have to treat your digital presence as a permanent, searchable record that employers and partners will absolutely use to vet you.
This all rolls into a general awareness, the ability to read the room.
Right. It's the successful navigation of the social world. It requires that high emotional intelligence we listed earlier. Don't use F-bombs around kids. Maybe check the local sports allegiances before you start trash talking the home team. Basic courtesy is marketing.
Let's pivot to the next step. Networking. We've all heard it. It's not what you know, it's who you know. The source says this is not just a cliche.
It's one of the truest things you'll ever hear. And because of that, you have to network everywhere. At the diner, the hair salon, even at Target. You have to be ready to introduce yourself and just be genuinely curious.
The anecdote about the forklift driver is great for this.
It really is. This young man working in manufacturing just had a real conversation with a coworker. He learned the coworker's wife was a politician, and because he made a good impression, he networked his way into becoming her communications director.
He didn't do that at a country club.
He did it next to a pallet jack.
That just underscores the importance of having real conversations, not just small talk. Gotti is clear. If you are talking to someone, the phone goes down. You look them in the eye.
Because conversations are opportunities for learning. You have to be curious. Everyone you meet has something to teach you. And to do that, you need to use open-ended questions. Think like a child. Why? Why? Why?
And on the flip side, you need to be open and vulnerable in your answers. It's a two-way street.
To manage this tactically, the source introduces a simple mnemonic device for conversations that we highly recommend practicing. LMA.
LMA. Okay, break that down for us.
It ensures you're present in the dialogue. L is for listen intensely. A is for acknowledge what you heard. M is for make a relevant statement. And the last A is for ask an open-ended question to keep it going.
So instead of just waiting for my turn to talk, I'm using AMA to process and connect.
Right. So if someone says, I really struggled to finish that project, you don't just jump in with, I have trouble with deadlines too. You listen, you acknowledge, it sounds like that was a tough deadline. Make a statement. It must have been stressful. And then ask, what was the most challenging part for you?
It shows respect and it deepens the relationship. That skill set leads directly into what the author calls negotiation.
Yeah, negotiation here isn't combative. It's just having effective, honest conversations to navigate conflicting interests.
So the goal isn't to win.
No. The goal is to find win-win solutions, or at least diplomatic ones, and you have to do it without being an asshole. The crucial secret here is that listening is way more important than talking.
It all comes back to character and basic courtesy.
Absolutely. Mind your manners. Please, thank you. Holding doors. These are the small, daily expressions of a highly developed character. But above all of that, the foundation of every successful relationship is trust.
A word about your word. The author says to guard it dearly.
This is the anchor. You can be competent and visible, but if no one trusts you, your product is worthless. Guarding your word means being disciplined in your commitments, knowing when to say no and always following through. Don't be the boy who cried wolf.
That focus on long-term reputation brings us to the ultimate goal, which contrasts sharply with how we typically measure success. Our culture is fixated on resume building, padding the CV.
And the author challenges us to abandon that and adopts an alternative model inspired by David Brooks, eulogy building.
That is a deeply provocative thought. If you died tomorrow, what would people truly say about you?
Use that thought to motivate your character development. The key is that eulogies rarely focus on your net worth or your job title. They focus on the intangibles, relationships, small good deeds, and what you do when no one is looking.
It's a reminder that fame and riches are often secondary to meaning.
That's why that Jim Carrey quote is so perfect here. I think everyone should get rich and famous so they can see that it's not the answer. The final measure of a life well lived is about the lives you touch.
So to quickly recap this deep dive into Chapter 10 of The Marketing of You, we covered how character development is both your product and your price, and why it's so urgent to start that work before you're 30.
Right.
We analyzed the 5 Ps of personal marketing, from developing the product to positioning yourself through placement. We discussed tactical advice on SWOT analysis, nonverbal signaling, llama for conversations, and the absolute importance of guarding your word.
The overarching message really is that This work is difficult, it's disciplined, but it's entirely necessary for a purposeful life.
Which leaves us with a final thought.
Yeah. If you are constantly marketing yourself through your character, you have to manage a subtle tension. How do you ensure that the person you're marketing is the person who will get the eulogy you actually desire? Is there a risk of optimizing the product for external approval rather than focusing on that internal integrity,
Yeah.
the quiet work that truly defines a person? That's something worth mulling over.